minutes from the previous meeting.
So that's the May 15 meeting.
Yes.
I would make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from our previous meeting.
May 15, 2025.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is potential recommendations from this board. Tom, you want to give us kind of a rundown of what's happening right now?
And then just ask a question, is this the February 7th recommendations that you drafted?
I believe it is.
I wasn't sure where that was recorded and I found that, so I'm assuming that's. I guess I could have gone back in the minutes.
We said there's like 3 recommendations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be it then, yeah.
Okay.
That's all we've officially recommended at this point. The last meeting, we made a recommendation but didn't vote on it.
It was directed towards the mayor.
Mhm.
And basically get things done. So that's kind of where we're at. But anyway, Tom, where are things at right now?
So about a month ago, I don't have my exact dates, the commissioners did, or actually I guess it came from the sheriff, did send a letter back saying we counter offer with 316,000 minimum, and just a couple of corrections to the contract that the council offered to them, changing special event coverage and I think something about the funding and who was going to find the funding, and that it would not be the county who would provide any additional funding, that it's the city's issue to find funding to fund the contract. And then, so the council has been sitting on it for, I think it was the 3rd meeting just last week, that they're still haven't accepted or returned an offer. They want to speak with I forget their name, but it's the
Central Montana Protected.
Yes.
Protections.
They want to talk to that group and see what they can offer, because they think they can offer 80 hours a week at like $182,000. But unfortunately, I think if that happens, we are still going to have to pay the sheriff for covering those times when they aren't here. And then also we have the problem with dispatch, and we don't have an office for them. So, but they still want to explore that option, which I think they're supposed to be here maybe at the August 5th meeting. If not, it might be the next meeting even that.
So those, wait another month.
Yeah. The last meeting when the mayor was out of town and on vacation, I did speak with Sarah Cocoli and said my opinion is to approve the contract, because the contract includes, I believe, like a 1-month cancellation, because it's 4 or 5 months from now before we're going to get anywhere with House Bill 333, which outlines, that we can have a contract with the local sheriff's office and go through mediation. I mean, that's probably November, December before we can get anywhere with that, and to go ahead and just do a contract. And if things change, then we deal with it then. But they're still holding off. And I think part of it also is that they want to have some conversations with MSU Local Government Center before jumping into any sort of agreement. Of course, the 316,000 does tax the general fund. we've been working on getting a few things out of the general fund, some wages that could be split amongst water, sewer, garbage, streets. So we have removed potentially 30 to 60,000 out of there, but that still leaves 80,000 that will eat up our cash reserves in the general fund, which we have about 280,000 in cash reserves that we can use. Obviously, we don't want to use all of it, but it would at least get us through one more year until they can decide whether they want to do a voted levy, which we have until August 11th to get a voted levy. I think it's maybe the 10th or 11th, to get a voted levy on this ballot for this fall. But even if it gets on there and we vote on it, those funds don't come in until next fall because we're already by that time, past this budget season for the following year. And then their other option, which is still debated on whether or not it is a viable option, is to do, I guess it comes to the wording, you say special district, and that is a separate thing. But like our street front footage fees that we charge people for street lights and street maintenance and tree and sidewalk maintenance, we believe that there is a code out there that says we could assess them that difference, maybe between 80,000 or 130,000 to a front footage assessment.
And if you do the front footage, you could set a date in there. If worse came to worse, you could say, for 2 years until we get this all worked out.
Yeah, and those are evaluated every year. You can lower it, up it, change the amount. So yeah, those are a little more flexible than a levy is. And I think, I mean, there are steps. We'd have to do a mailing. We'd have to act pretty quickly to get it on this budget. But if we did, because you have to send letters to everyone to let them know, and then it goes on to the budget, which then has public hearings. But we're crunching the time right now. So if we don't act in the next like week or two on a funding option, then we would have to go into those cash reserves, no matter what, because even if we hire the rent-a-cops, we're still going to have more than just what we pay them.
Right.
So no matter what, we're going to be over budget.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we recognize the fact the city couldn't afford it and that they needed to do something else.
Right.
Do you remember we sat
We said
here
that.
and said that, and so I'm a little frustrated, I'll be honest. I don't know how you feel, but I'm real frustrated, and I just feel like we need to do what we were tasked to do and make a recommendation. We didn't make an official recommendation at the last meeting, which I think we should have, because I don't think it was taken seriously.
It wasn't, because I came to the next meeting and somebody said, well, what was the recommendation? And Stuart said, well, basically nothing. And I was very frustrated for that, because he'd just been at the meeting. And we had a recommendation.
Yeah.
So to kind of summarize what we talked about last time, it's get it done. We realize you're gonna have to fund it by something, figure it out. Let's go. Let's get a contract done.
And the other thing, it's negotiation with sheriff's office. You're gonna have to pay to bring somebody else in the middle of all of this and then trying to get organized. You'd have to set up you talk about office space, you'd have to have a police commission. Who's gonna be their leader? Well, you're gonna be gone. There's nobody who's able to be their leader, because we know nothing about law enforcement, but we have an entity right here in our community that drives around with this Teton County Sheriff, and they know their stuff.
And the other problem you're gonna have is that they're gonna be pointing fingers at each other.
Yes.
Oh, that's yours. You're responsible for that.
Great.
Could be a slip up, somebody's gonna be pointing fingers.
Oh, exactly.
And
then-
dysfunctional.
I don't think we do a service to Fairfield and Dutton. They're all paying. They've thrown in. That was the agreement. We are all throwing in. We are doing this. And for us to pull out at the last minute and say, we're gonna go to Great Falls. It's kind of like the shop local thing with the Chamber of Commerce. I mean, really, when you have an entity here who is capable, elected and trained and capable and members of our community. And to not sit down at the table and figure out a way how to work this out and spend your time talking to somebody from Great Falls. Like, I think it's just nuts.
Agreed.
Well, and it should have been, if they want to pursue, explore that option, that should have been.
Long time ago.
Months ago.
Well, we
Yes.
did, we had that conversation and it was, we can't afford to do this, it would cost, a lot of money.
Well, and they're still looking for dispatch service, and how do they detain a person?
Well,
Right.
They don't have a place to put them, and,
It's complicated.
yeah,
It's more complicated than it needs to be, and I can guarantee you it will just end up being finger pointing.
yes.
I agree.
So, so the question, and I raised it being, time ago. The only question is, how do we determine what the sheriff's office is offering is reasonable? And I think that's the center for whatever it is, industry extension. They can provide some data to say, or they need to go out and visit with some, like sheriff's office, just to make sure that what we're offering or what the sheriff is offering is reasonable. Now, I looked at, Jill and I looked at their budget, and his rationale seemed, and he was very thorough in his analysis, seemed reasonable. But I didn't have anything to compare it to.
Right.
And I don't have any experience in sheriff's office to compare. So how do we go, to me, that's how do, somebody corners me and says, well, you're gonna pass a levy or you're gonna raise taxes. Is that reasonable, or are we getting what we're paying for? And I don't have an answer. I say, well, we've compared it to 2 or 3 other sheriff's offices, and just we believe it's broke.
I would suspect if they're sitting around a table. What happened before is inexperienced people are putting together a contract and sending it to the sheriff, with money, and there's holes in that. If you need to have somebody who's an expert in contract, the verbiage, and if you sit around the table and you can have those conversations with a mediator, you will eventually they will come to terms when they come up with a contract that's agreeable to both sides.
Well, I would hope they'd have some data.
Yeah.
To bring to the table so that you can compare, because as you said, these are, council they're not
Ill-equipped,
versed in
No.
law enforcement, so how do they know?
right?
How do they know what it costs to hire somebody and
Yeah.
operate dispatch? I mean, it's just. But I think in my mind, I think that's something that, I'm not challenging it, that it's wrong, I'm just saying if you don't compare, how do you know?
Right.
How are you going to truthfully answer somebody who uses this as a fair and equitable people? Which I don't, seems like they've touched on it a little bit, but I don't know if they're really pursuing it.
So, I understand that Dan Clark has been contacted, but Dan is busy. There must be somebody else in the state that is capable of mediating a situation like this. Cause I'm sure we're not the only ones.
Yeah. And
Well, I'm sure he would have a recommendation.
Right.
yeah, or someone from the AG office maybe, but it's like no one wants to touch it.
No,
But, and I think that part of the delay with Dan Clark is that law of the new House bill doesn't go into effect until it's either October 1st or November 1st.
It's October 1.
October 1. And so I think they're still formulating their tactic and their responses. Because I think this is more than just Shoto, it's this almost same thing is happening all over Montana.
Yeah.
So I think they're coming up with a game plan, but in the meantime, the sheriff's office is still invoicing us, and probably for more than what the contract would be.
yeah,
So
I don't know, we have to figure that out.
No.
The council needs to figure that out.
Right. or the people at the table.
Right, the people at the table need to figure it out. So, do we have a recommendation?
Yeah, you say it.
Well, as simply as possible,
Yeah,
get something figured out. How's that? get the contract, get the situation figured out. We know, like we said before, we know that there needs to be increased funding. We know that. We're recognizing that.
Right.
Get this worked out with a contract with the sheriff's department. As efficiently or quickly as, how do I say that? Expedite the process, get her done.
Yeah,
Well, from what you've been saying, I feel like one recommendation could be to not do I hate saying this, the rent-a-cops, but to
right.
do focus on a contract versus
Yes.
outside sourcing.
Set that aside.
Mhm,
I think Corley made a good point, shop local.
mhm.
We have capable people, trained people in our community who are members of our community.
And elected.
Yes, and absolutely. So I agree completely with that.
Okay, so I'm gonna do recommendation one, make a contract with the sheriff and not work with outside.
Right.
Enforcement services.
And I go back to, you have to sit down at the table across from one another. The sending the papers back and forth and not having to look at one another, it just does not work.
And two, so expedite
This process.
expedite this process
Yes. It's got to be a priority.
with,
Right.
It's,
And
I
you
don't feel like it is.
we have three options. You've got the special levy like we do with the tree and sidewalk. You've got a voted levy, or you just juggle your budgets. There's one of those three options.
yeah. And August 5th, the next meeting that they have is about the last chance that they have to do that for this coming year.
Great.
Well, and even then, the voted levy doesn't even kick in until next fiscal year, so. I mean, it will eat our cash reserves, but we can do it for a year and then they have time.
And if you can juggle your budget for the first year, which gives you a little more control and you can do a lot faster than you need to, because you need to have your budgets done by,
Like September 1 or end of September, I think they have to be submitted to the state.
yeah, so you don't have any time really. And we need to have money now to pay them.
Mhm.
So that really is, that is really the only option.
Yeah, and we can get through the first year.
But they need to make a decision, funding wise.
Mhm.
Yes, they do.
I don't know, by the deadline, I don't know if it's proper to say by their August.
The mayor does want to talk about the voted levy at the August 5th meeting, but we would have to crunch some numbers real fast to get it to the county by the August.
And you're gonna be gone.
Mhm.
When are you done?
July 31st. But Jody is on contract or is currently on contract. They're gonna have to extend that contract with the League of Cities and Towns. But they can, but it'd be
Right.
tight to get it all figured out and to the county in time to get on the ballot. But they can. If they want to go the route, and it seems like the council is leaning towards a voted levy because they want the people to vote on it. And I mean, if they vote it down, then there are other options,
Like what?
the front footage,
Yeah,
but they don't want to just go directly to that because they feel like they want the people to have a chance. Although with the front footage, we send out letters, and if we get 50% response back saying no, then we can't do it. So then at that point, I don't know what we would do.
well, that's highly unlikely though,
Yeah.
don't you think?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Are we done with that recommendation? Can you,
Don't tell me what was recommended.
Okay, 1 second. So I did 3. So first, just to make a contract with the sheriff and not outside enforcement services. Expedite this process with continued one-on-one negotiations. Get funding in place, either voted levy or front footage.
What about juggling your budget first?
Well, and that's,
You're gonna have to do that.
yeah, I think that's the
You're gonna make a
part.
call anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that's your number one. You can do that, and then when you get your research done for the others and figure out how it's gonna go, then you can make adjustments, but we have to come up with some money somehow or another, that's just how it is.
Yeah. And at this point, of course, it has to go through council. Jody and I have put in, just in case, we have figured into the budget right now, $316,000 for the sheriff. Just in case.
Yeah.
So, because we're gonna need, whether it goes to the Teton County Sheriff's Office or someone else, it has to be in there. Because it's not going away.
So our first recommendation basically is gonna be you, to find a mediator, sit down at the table and agree on the contract.
And I can add the mediator to the number 2 expedite.
Yeah, you might as well, because it doesn't seem to be getting done otherwise. Cause we've burned up how much time since February?
I don't know, when did we start this? We were December, weren't we?
Yeah, like November, December, we had our first meetings. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Since February, yes.
Yeah.
So are we, should we consider voting on that, or are there any other
Sorry,
changes?
I don't think it works enough, but
Mhm.
read it again to me.
And I'll extend these and
Fix it up.
fix it up like
Thank
that
you.
letter that you have. But one, make a contract with the sheriff versus outside enforcement services.
So make is, what does make, negotiate or
Yeah, just
pursue or?
pursue a contract.
Okay,
I'll put pursue. Pursue a contract with the sheriff and not outside enforcement services. 2, expedite this process with continued one-on-one negotiations and bring in a negotiator or mediator to expedite that process.
or you could say one-on-one mediated
Mhm.
negotiation.
Yeah.
Mhm. And then 3rd, probably adjust current budget to include sheriff contract and get funding in place, either voted levy or front footage for continued or
Yeah.
additional years.
Cause we don't put something down.
So, but part of that is, it's important that they move on that ASAP. Right.
Mhm.
So we need to include that in there. I'm not sure how to word that.
Mhm.
Um,
I can say get funding in place immediately,
or you could say timely.
timely.
Or you could even be more specific and say, how would you say that? To allow for, timely to allow for, a mill levy. If pursued. I'm not sure.
What about this, guys? Adjust the current budget to include the sheriff's contract at $316,000, spending down cash reserves for the current 25-26 fiscal year, and put funding in place, either a voted levy or a special improvement district for future years.
Nicely done.
Does
For
that,
future years. But you need to put the time constraint on that because
Mhm.
you can only reserve, you're telling us you can only reserve until potential funding next fall, right?
Mhm.
Otherwise, you're gonna.
Yeah, so you could just, at the end of that, say, get the mill levies or front footage in place for fiscal year 27.
okay, yeah, that,
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
That puts time.
Year
Time on.
27.
Yeah, 27. We're starting 26 this month. We're fiscal year 26.
Yeah, I think that puts enough structure.
Okay, is there anything else?
Want to
to add
email
to
me that? Okay, so
Is anything else to add to that? Or those 3 things were good?
So we had talked about, in here, we talked about a committee and I don't know that.
I think it kind of happens.
It's
Yeah.
not all at the same time. Like Keith did come and talk to me. I had a like 1 hour conversation with him. Stuart did go talk to them. We just didn't do it all together.
No, right. Now you've all been schooled up. You probably could all get together. If you had somebody running the show.
Yeah, I think you're gonna need an outside meeting.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
think that's really important to
Yeah.
smooth things over. Cause you don't wanna be butting heads. Somebody's gonna bow their neck.
Mhm.
That's kind of where we started from.
Mhm.
So, are we ready to vote on this recommendation? Make it official?
Yeah.
I'd make a motion to make these recommendations to the mayor, city council.
And I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to make these recommendations. Any further discussion? Seeing none, will vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I should read that statement. Is there anyone who want to comment who's not, wants to make a comment who's on an item that's not on the agenda?
So you have one more agenda item.
Oh, yeah.
For this meeting?
Public comment.
What was the other agenda item?
That is next meeting date.
Oh,
Just in case. I threw it on there
I'm
just in
not sure.
case.
I'm not sure what our,
I feel like we've done all that we can do.
I thought we did the last time.
Well, I thought we did too.
I'm not arguing the point, I'm just saying it's listed.
Yeah,
there, so.
It's just listed, so I'm just gonna say not at this time.
Yeah, if needed, we'll come back, but hopefully this will, hopefully things will work out.
Yes.
So what is our tenure here? I guess we're not really an ad hoc committee. Because it was a resolution to make the advisory board.
Right.
Law enforcement advisory board.
Mhm.
So does that sunset, or do we just kind of leave it out there?
I think we just leave it out there. Usually a board comes with like a 3 to 5 year term. And then you rotate out, so, I mean,
Hopefully there won't be a need for us.
yeah, hopefully there won't be a need.
Right.
But I think it's on retainer. And then as people are unavailable, we appoint new people to replace us. Yeah,
So I guess I'm wondering, is it really, we have any future purpose that we need to retain the board, or I guess that's the council's decision whether they.
yeah, I mean, they could dissolve it at some
Dissolve
point,
it.
or you guys become the police commission.
No way, absolutely not.
No, thank you.
Because apparently we're supposed to have one no matter what.
You are?
Mhm. That's what was discussed at a previous council meeting like last month.
Okay,
Okay, so next meeting date is.
irrelevant
To be
At this
determined,
point in
to
time.
be determined.
at this point in time,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, I am going to close the meeting then. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you. Well, excellent.